It's backwards, so it doesn't say unusual suspect. It says backwards. But anyway,
this is selfie inception, people.
And I'm going to be one of the guests today, so.
Vinny?
All right, so everybody, this was the my second choice for starting videos, for intro videos, because I'm going to play the one that I originally wanted to start with because it loops into the original subject matter of this stream a lot better. But I wanted to play that because what they're doing over there, that's at Valuetainment, that's Vinny Oceana, who's a hilarious stand-up comic, if you don't already know. They're doing something great there. And I've been, you know, guest appearing, or they've been inviting me, and I've been, you know, humbly accepting invitations. The show is called The Unusual Suspects, and they're building. It's a great concept. It's a great platform. It's a great show that I think deserves a little more exposure. Not just because I enjoy frequenting it as a guest. It's good stuff, and good stuff deserves to be highlighted. And bad stuff deserves to be highlighted as well. And blasted. And that's what we're going to be doing today. What I wanted to start with is, let me just make sure before we go on, because I'm a bit of an idiot. Okay, we're live on Rumble. That's good. Are we live on vivabarneslaw.locals.com? We're good. Okay. And I see my brother in the backdrop. Oh, his hair's looking even grayer than it was before. It's my actual brother from the same mother, so you all know him. We'll get to him in a second. Good morning. Good morning. It's not afternoon. I got to get these streams out when I can because it's Christmas holiday, people. Like, kids are out of school now, and I'm going back to what I politely refer to as Commie Canada tomorrow. Got to see my parents. All the siblings are you know, coming in, and we're going to have a party, see my mother-in-law. If you don't know who I am, welcome to the channel. Viva Frei, Montreal litigator turned Florida rumbler. We are live on Locals. I just see someone saying we're live, right? We're live, right? I think we're live on Locals. If you don't know who I am, welcome to the channel. It must be a weird thing stumbling across this randomly, having no idea who this lunatic is. Montreal litigator, former turned current Floridian rumbler. We start on YouTube, Rumble, and vivabarneslaw.locals.com. Then we end on YouTube because I've been calling YouTube CommieTube as well. People have been accusing me of using the term communist inaccurately. Yes, people, it's not supposed to be a totally accurate insult. It's just supposed to be the colloquial insult, lumping together of people who censor free speech, support kangaroo courts, medical intervention of other people's bodies, and censorship. Yeah. All right, so we're live everywhere. Thanks for being around, Viva. I hate this holiday. Everyone leaves. Oh, I'm just thinking like, oh, it's a tough time of year under under ordinary circumstances, and it's tougher for, you know, under certain circumstances than others. It's tough because of solitude, and it's also tough because you end up having to see a lot of people who interesting dinner time conversations. Okay, all that to say, this is my actual brother. He's in the backdrop, but before I bring him in, I'm going to bring in the video that I wanted to start this show with because it relates to the subject matter. And it's one of those things where you watch the video and you don't know if it's parody for a good 30 seconds. Listen to this.
Booster this, booster that. They expect you to get a booster, but ain't nobody told you what it is or how it works till now. Yo. Over time, your immunity wanes. Antibodies ain't nothing but protein, and they get endocytosed and broken down. And while immune memory is a thing, as they say where I'm from, stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. Introducing COVID-19 boosters on the mRNA platform.
Stop. By way of vote, 1 being, yes, this is parody. 2, no, this is serious propaganda. I'm getting this far, and I'm like, okay, when's the punchline? Because I'm waiting for it to say like all of the stuff that we now know. It's like that scene from Eurotrip where like the guy's like watching a movie and it's a dirty movie and he's waiting for the girls to come and he's like, the girls never arrived. Like the joke never comes.
Modified nucleosides to get inside your cytoplasm for 3 reasons. Remind, refine, re-up. It reminds your immune system to pay its...
Remind, refine, re-up. Now you know it's propaganda. All the pillars of marketing. Give it a name, give it a brand, give it a catchy rhyming thing so that, you know, the soft brains out there will remember it. I forgot what they were, except for re-up. I remember re-up because like go jack it up, re-up.
mRNA is game film. It gets translated to spike protein, scout team on the outside of the cell, triggering receptors and alerting the immune system like,
I'm not playing the rest of this. I want to know how much that man was paid for this. Drew comments. How much was he paid for this? It wasn't a joke, by the way, people. It wasn't a joke, and I've been following his feed now, and it's not only not a joke, it's a sick, sad joke. So speaking of that, here, go get your propaganda. It's that time of year again. Go pull a Chrystia Freeland and go get your second booster and whatever the hell you need. But also, let's get an update on the Vaccine Injury Support Program out of Canada, the VISP. It's tough to say when you have a lisp. You say the VISP with the lisp. I'm going to bring in my brother now. He's going to give us the latest. Daniel, sir. Daniel, son. Are you ready to come in, son? Too late. Daniel,
that ad inspired me. I think I want to go get a booster, triple booster, whatever. I'm ready to go.
Your whole beard is white. Is it the light? Is it the lighting?
Yeah, it's the lighting.
Okay. No, because sometimes people say, yeah, I guess like my streaks look a lot whiter on camera than they are in real life. Dude, yeah, no, it's like it's got good music. What was it? It was 2 Re's and a re-up
on the on the mRNA platform. It's like it's handled anyhow.
Was it paid and was it disclosed, dude? Okay, so first of all, what's going on? How you doing?
Things are well, bro. Things are well. Can't complain. Yeah,
well, you can always complain. I mean,
yeah,
one can always complain.
Rage Farm. We got a Rage Farm. Rage Farm pays well, right?
Well, yeah, but I think truth pays better. I mean, the funny thing is, like, I get accused of rage farming. It's not rage farming when you get enraged because you discover that they're paying influencers to push propaganda and then tell them not to say it because it would be embarrassing for the government if they were disclosing being paid. Can you believe that?
He went breathe. He wasn't the only one. I posted something about the mayor of Toronto. She did a similar pitch.
It's Wong, right?
Olivia
Chow. Sorry.
Olivia Chow.
Hold on.
Right?
Let me see if I can find it. Tell me what she did.
It's on my thing, but she basically, in a press release, just kind of out of the blue, talked about it. Came out so bad. It was the one where I overlaid it with the bad flute
clown
music. The sad flute music. But it's where she basically, on a whim, was promoting getting a jab because the holiday seasons are coming up, and it was a real train. Like, she didn't even know which number she was getting. She's like, just get it. And her reasoning didn't really make sense, but it looked like she was being kind of inspired by federal partners or some private public partnership to give that little 3-minute rant.
It's unbelievable. I'll see if I can find it while you're talking. But Dan, what have you been up to these days in terms of the good work and your recent posts about you're going to have to flesh out what's going on with the Vaccine Injury Support Program. You've talked about it many times before, but re-up our memory on what you're doing.
Well, no, I like to track these things. I think the Vaccine Injury Support Program has always been the canary in the mine. Like, that thing can't really lie about what's going on. And so I've been tracking that ever since, with you, like almost a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, right? Where you couldn't even talk about the thing on YouTube's, right? So I've been tracking it just to see, because they have to update it under, it's a contract that is, between it was then called RCGT Inc., a private Raymond Chabot Grant Thornton, to manage a budget for the federal government to pay out these vaccine injuries from day one, right? But it's a private contract, so they it's how it works is kind of a bit elusive. You kind of have to learn on the go, and so I've been kind of doing that, helping a few people and it's really slow. It's like embarrassingly slow, but at that they've paid out 138 claims already, right? And that's part of the contract to disclose that. And the total average is about 120,000 per, 110,000 per.
Okay, so I'm bringing it up for everybody who doesn't know. So Canada has, what's our adverse event reporting system called in Canada? Is it CARES?
There was
Canadian Adverse Event Reactions. I think it was called CARES, which is
ironic. Nobody's reporting it anymore. It's like done.
So we have our own care system, but we also have our own vaccine injury program, and it's called the Vaccine Injury Support Program, the VISP. And you've been tracking it. I'm just going to bring up here. I'm going to highlight what you highlighted in your tweet. Total amount paid to claimants, and this is as of what date?
This was as of December 1st, 2023.
As of December 1st, for the safe and effective jibby jab, is this specifically for the COVID jab? Or
by the way, they forgot the $sign in front of that. This is for, so good point. This is for all vaccines. But the reality is, just going to go on a limb here and say I'm guessing a good 95+% are for, you know, the C-19.
Do we have any? Do you have any comparables to last year? Like, are you able to track this number? Versus
Yes, right, because you can't. So even for some reason, when you go to archive.org, it's not tracking this particular link properly. I don't know what's working, but basically, the budget was 2.8 million per year. Okay,
Okay,
that
a
was
problem.
that's
a
the
problem.
budget, which is low. But when this program was launched, Trudeau in that infamous press release says that it's 1 in a million. Serious injuries are 1 in a million. Bro, this thing's already paid out 138. So, and the population of Canada is not 138 million. So he's about, you know, just off by 4x, whatever it is, 5x. But really, there's more here because these are only serious and catastrophic like this. So that's the screening criteria here. So these are major injuries. They've let a whole bunch of ones go that are not considered serious and
Well, and they've also denied the ones that we know are, I mean, by all logical accounts, seem to be patently obvious. The big one in particular being Sean Hartman.
So right, so the deaths, the deaths are not even. I'd be very interested in if there were any deaths that were paid out from this program, because how do you prove that? You have to do autopsies. Nobody wants to do the autopsies. Everybody, and it caught like. Anytime there's a death from an injury, like within a week or 30 days, nobody wants to do nobody, like the family starts like it doesn't happen. So I don't think any of those are for deaths. Even though I think that would be the easiest and most affordable way for Sean Hartman to proceed.
He filed an amended, I believe he submitted an amended statement of injury because he got the expert report confirming, at least from their expert, what the cause of death was.
Right, and kudos to you, by the way, for getting that out there, because I know he mentioned he regularly mentions you and.
It's as much as anything can be put on blast of that nature. The sick, tragic irony is that I had on another family, and their daughter died 3 weeks or a few weeks after the second jab, which she got 3 weeks after the first jab, and they put as cause of death, even though now she's gotten the medical records and. I'm not. They'll disclose what they want to disclose, but they diagnosed the death as a COVID-19 death because after her second shot, which was 3 weeks after the first, which already raises questions, she then got COVID-19 and then went to a hospital and suffered 3 heart attacks, and then passed away weeks later. They put COVID-19 as the cause of death on the.
Wow.
So yeah, no, it's
that's crazy.
It's mind blowing, but it's atrocious.
Well, but also what they do. So the program, the vaccine injury support program, relies on an expert panel, and they in turn rely on the latest studies, right? So as new studies come out linking different conditions to the jab, then a claim has a better chance of being recognized. So a lot of people that maybe got rejected a year ago or 2 years ago could come back and say, no, now there's a causal link established in the literature, have a second kick at the file and maybe change your opinion. And so that's where we're at on a couple of claims. But that thing, okay, so listen to this. Okay, there was a whistleblower who spoke about another issue. Oh gosh, it was the fund, the Green Fund, okay? I don't know if you saw that. Are you following that?
Nope.
Basically, the way the Canada set up a fund to give money out to green causes, and the whole thing was a slush fund. It was a total joke.
I do know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Right. So the whistleblower came, and it all comes from this what's called a contribution agreement. In that case, it's called a contribution agreement, and that's how the program is managed, how to give out the funds. Bro, that's what that the vaccine injury support program is operated under the same idea, the contribution agreement, and I'm seeing it firsthand what the contribution agreement says and how it's being operated. Some whistleblower besides me needs to come out and talk about what's going on, because there's some discrepancies. The way the administrators handling the claims, the way they're handling appeals, not being transparent, privacy, not respecting privacy, like phone calls recorded that you're supposed to tell the people about. Like, I've got it all, and it's a major problem. Leaving aside the whole issue about how many claims are really outstanding, how many claims should have been paid. Like, there's this whole administrative side of it that somebody's got to blow the lid on.
Dan, I'm going to double check our volume here. Chat, and I'll go to locals to make sure I'm not getting trolled. Did I just fix the audio? Do a mic check, Dan. Tell me. Well, we'll do a real-time mic check. I've upped my volume and adjusted yours. So the vaccine injury support, they've paid out $11 million. That is to date. as of December, and it starts as of what date? Is that for the year, or is that for the life
That's
of the program?
that's from the life. So from 2021, which if you look at the numbers, it should have been. It's supposed to be 2.8 per year, so we should have been up to about 7 or 8
Hold on,
million.
take your mic away from your mouth. I think no, I gotta balance it with equals here. So say that again.
So that's lifetime. So it should have been, but based on budget, it should have been 7 or 8 million. They're up to 11, so they're 30% over budget. Okay, which is good because they're recognizing that, right, that the thing is causing some serious problems. Bad because it shows that there are serious problems, but it also shows, right, that this idea of safe and effective, right, people at that program know that claim is not really fair to make, and they knew it for a while, and nobody was saying anything, right, except for anti-vaxxers on banned social media accounts. But when you have this many claims and you have now objectively the metrics to show, like, I don't know, man.
Well, it's there now. Okay, well, I'm just trying to. Yes, he was referring to Dave's voice. Thanks. Okay, let's see. Viva too low. Now his brother too loud. What did I do? I turned him down. I didn't turn him up. Edit mic settings. Oh.
Who, you or me?
I forgot to do two things today. One was check the audio, and one was check locals. Locals were live on locals.
Mic
now.
volume.
So
okay.
don't do yours. Edit mic settings. I'm going to bring your mic down a little bit, Dan.
Your show.
And we're going to see if this. It's my show. Yeah. One day I'll get the hang of it. I need to get a mixer. Not yet a producer. It's fine, Viva. Okay, we're good now. Okay, good. So have you been well? I don't. Without getting into what's protected, privileged information. You're working on people who are filing claims. Have you had any updates, any progress on a professional front?
On the vaccine, so it's a slow move. You're dealing with getting medical records, which takes a significant period of time, and then structuring the appeal. So it's all in the pipes. It's a slow moving program designed to be that way to delay the inevitable recognition of that these things characterizing them as safe and effective was not. So
we need the year-over-year data, actually, just for the first 2 years.
Year over year?
To compare the amount of claims this year versus the amount of claims last year. Because you're going to want... The Vaccine Injury Support Program is a new program, and if it's going to cover all vaccine injuries, there's no baseline pre-COVID to know how many people were making vaccine injury claims prior to the jab?
Right. There was zero because we didn't have a federal program. You had Quebec, so that would be your a good benchmarking. So Quebec has a separate program. So I guess that would be the way to track it, right? Look at how it trends in Quebec. And interestingly, their numbers have stayed flat. So they started a new, so something that tells me something. You can ask there's a famous stats guy.
Well, I've got Ed Dowd was on the show at least once.
You got Dowd, okay.
Yeah.
Roncourt is his name. Anyhow, the Quebec stats are wonky because they've opened up this new COVID program, and the claims have remained flat, and you know that can't be the case. And so, but they've gotten more people applied. Like I think there was 98.
Well, I got to tell you something. There's a very easy explanation as to how it could have remained plateaued, because they're just attributing a death jab to the euthanasia in Quebec, which is now the third leading cause of death, and say, well, they both come from a needle, so how does it matter how we categorize it? Bada bing, bada boom. It's a sick joke. You know that Quebec, Dan, third leading cause of death for a while was medical assistance in dying.
Isn't that Canada too, or Canada's fourth?
Well, no, Canada was 4 or 5, but Quebec was ahead of Canada because
they keep their own stats.
People know in the chat, Quebec is always different. It's a unique province where they euthanize their elderly, and they're still having overloaded a healthcare system, worse than maybe not than Nova Scotia, but then the rest of the Canada.
MAID's a whole other topic, but that's actually, we're dealing on a show tonight talking about MAID in Canada. MAID in Canada.
Who are you going on with?
That's with Natasha. What's her name? Natasha Montreal.
Oh, she was on the radio?
It's a Spaces.
Okay, no, but it's not the Natasha from the Natasha show. Okay.
I don't know. But anyhow, the point is, and now they're talking about like offering MAID to vaccine injured people. Like it's pretty dark.
It's dark, and I'm going to get into it later on in the show. Dark, especially when you then say, well, how are they compensating for that decline in population? And it's just artificial growth to conceal what they're doing.
But they're not. Are they hiding it? Because it's very clear how many new people are coming in versus the debt.
Oh no, well it's clear if you know to even ask the question. I mean, it's like it's not clear when they say population is hitting record growth, and they say, well, we're bringing in 500,000 immigrants a year, and then they don't tell you that there's a record exodus of immigrants leaving Canada. So it's like it's all.
Oh, is there? I didn't know
yeah,
that.
dude. It's Google it. It's record numbers of new immigrants leaving Canada, and so that's the objective stat. Anecdotally, we know people who came to Canada, to Quebec, were paid to learn French, and then left to go back to their undisclosed homeland because they hated it in Quebec and Canada so much.
I've heard so many anecdotes of people going to Mexico. Something's going on in Mexico. Everyone's going to Mexico.
I've heard the same, and they tell you, Viva, it's not as crazy as you think it is. Like when you get, so long as you stay out of X, Y, and Z area, it's not as bad as the media says. It's like, well, you still got to get from the airport to your area. But then again, see what's going on in Canada. It's all a trade-off. There's no right or wrong decision. It's just trade-offs.
Another interesting thing I discovered about the Vaccine Injury Support Program, okay, is that they're making people sign releases to get their money. So meaning even if a person does prove their injury finally, okay, to get your check, you have to say you're not going to sue the program administrator, you're not going to sue this person, that.
Have you seen the release? I mean,
I've seen that.
It makes sense to me. I mean, if you're getting compensated, then you can't reserve your rights.
No, okay, right? You think it makes sense. It actually doesn't make sense. Here's why. Okay, if I'm for personal injuries, if you sue someone in court, okay, and you win, the court cannot. There's res judicata, so you can't sue again for the same injury. That's just built into the nature of it. But you don't. The court never makes you sign a release, and even if you win to get your proceeds after a successful litigation claim, you don't have to sign a release once the court orders it. It's only if you settle, then people sometimes negotiate terms of settlement and they try to get a benefit.
Yeah,
right?
well, and then the distinction would be that you don't need a release because you're being compensated for the damages as of, and you don't relinquish future rights to future claims.
This is what people have to understand, that this release, I don't think it overrides the rights that a person has within the way the program was designed to set up. So meaning, if a person does get money under the Vaccine Injury Support Program, okay, and later discovers more injury, don't worry about, my thought is don't worry about that release, because the program is designed to recognize that there may be additional discoveries that you can't sign away. So that's just...
Sign a release, get a free burger. Hey, you got the free burger that got you.
It's no. They owe the injuries caused. You owe the thing. No release being signed. Pay the darn money. You've proven the thing, right?
Anyway. Well, it is. And just to answer this question, wait, are you both lawyers? I'm still a trained lawyer, just not a practicing lawyer. I don't lose my training. My brother Dan is still a practicing lawyer. But it's an interesting, actually, the way to put it is that they're compensating you for an actual loss, and so it shouldn't be predicated on here. I stole money from you. I'll give you the money back. That's just righting the wrong or compensating the loss, and it has nothing to do with relinquishing future claims for punitive damages, exemplary damages. You've seen the result? The result.
Yeah, I posted it.
The release.
I posted the release.
See if you can get it, and I'll pull it up. But who's included in the release? Everyone and anyone? Government officials? Pfizer? Is Pfizer in it?
Well, Pfizer is already indemnified. It's the program
until it's revealed that there were manufacturing misrepresentations, and then I think we're going to see the opening of the door and the breaching of the dam for lawsuits. Because it's one thing if they got a release for what they were contractually bound to produce. It's becoming exceedingly clear that what they were producing was through neglect or through whatever, not what they were contractually bound to produce. Setting aside fraud, vitiating everything. If you got it, send it in the private chat.
Yeah, I sent it in put it in the chat. I just clicked you liked.
Yeah, give me 1 second. I'll bring that up. Let's see, technology, right over here. Put it here. Okay, bring it. Let's see this release. I want to see who's in this release.
It's
Is it going to let me do this? If it doesn't let, you know what's funny? I'm telling you, Dan, you might be in Twitter's bad books as well.
Why?
Okay, there we go. No, never mind. Because sometimes it doesn't let me bring up certain people's tweets in incognito, and it's very weird. Okay, so this is Lion Advocacy. The Vaccine Injury Support Program does something quite insidious that few Canadians know about. When an injured party finally is about to get their money, they must sign a release. This makes victims wrongly believe they can no longer apply for newly discovered injuries. And let's see this here. Oh, this is coming from the government. Everyone understand, this is a government program. It's run through Raymond Chabot.
This is the incident. It's like a private public partnership, right? So it looks like a court, but it's not quite a court. But it's supposed to behave like a court. So, right?
Let me read this for whomever can't read it or is listening on podcast afterwards. This is page 2. Vaccine Injury Support Program. I confirm that I am fully responsible for my use of the payment provided by the VISP, including the selection of third-party contractors and service providers, as well as the quality, type, or standard products selected and work performed by those third parties. What the heck does that mean? What the hell does that even mean?
I think you're getting money.
Fully responsible for my use of the payment. Okay, so you're accepting the money. I guess it means you're accepting the money wherever it goes. You're responsible for it.
Oh, and the provide. So when they do injury assessments, you're using their assessors. So you're releasing. So. Right.
In exchange for the receipt of the payment made pursuant to the VISP and for other good and valuable consideration, the receipt and sufficiently of which I acknowledge by signing this payment condition form, I hereby freely, voluntarily, you don't get your money unless you do it, and without duress, or undue influence, fully and forever release and discharge the administrator. Who's the administrator defined? You'll tell me later.
It's there. It's about first paragraph above on the page above. It's RCGT Consulting Inc. It's the private.
That's nice. Okay, well, they have little to do with this. The administrator from and expressly waive any and all liability claims and demands of whatever kind of nature, either in law or in equity, that may arise from, relate to, or have a connection with the Vaccine Injury Support Program. I agree not to make or bring any such claims or demand against the administrator, and fully and forever discharge the administrator. All right, so long as it's limited to the VISP, then I think you still preserve your rights against other parties who might be responsible, unless...
But right, so as long as people understand, first of all, it is coercion because why do I have to give up a right to get money?
The Vaccine Injury Support Program. Hypothetically, I don't think it would include future injury if you find out that
Right. It definitely wouldn't. But again, why, as a condition for getting money, that a person has been injured, like they've received, they're injured, there should be no release. This is unconditional. It's like it is basically like a court order, and courts can't order you to sign a document. You think it's normal because it looks like a private contract and they can put whatever. But this is where the private-public partnerships get totally abused. A person who's owed money because of a vaccine injury gets the money done. There's no condition under duress. These people so some of them are injured and they just need that money. They'll sign whatever just to get the money. And so it's just, maybe people won't get why this is a bit of a canary in the mine or a bit of a badge of something a bit nefarious here. This is not normal. You do not put strings attached to this kind of payment.
You don't have to be a dirty lawyer to even just understand that somebody down the line would say, well, you can't even... Pfizer, Bourla might say, you can't sue me even if I did have fraud because you already got compensated for the injury of my fraud, even though that was a contract between you and a third party. You can say you don't get compensated twice for the same injury.
I would say if the administrator was offering an additional amount of money to get the release, I would say, okay, sure, then I'll release give me an extra $5,000 and I'll sign a release and I'll release the Vaccine Injury Support Program coordinator. Fine, sure. But here there's no consideration except that they're doing their job that they're supposed to do, which is give out the money that the government's given them.
Well, now I ask the question out loud: is the administrator is in fact defined as whoever's administering the funds? But I mean, if it's a public-private partnership, is the administrator also not technically the government? And so are you not also releasing the government?
No, it defines the administrator as RCGT Consulting Inc. So this private party, but do you even have a claim? Yeah, so you'd have to have your claim would be against Public Health Agency of Canada or Health Canada or whatever. That hasn't been extinguished, right? But anyhow.
Well, it's an interesting thing. It's the not a psychological deterrent, but maybe people just think, well, I have no more further claims. So even if it works on 8 out of 10 people and it doesn't work on 2 out of 10, well, you've taken care of 8.
And that's what they did with the right of appeal. People don't understand the appeals process in this silly program. I did a Freedom of Information Act request to get more details on how the appeal worked. They were dragging their feet. But basically, the appeal is pretty open-ended, and they make you think, when in the correspondence from the Vaccine Injury Support Program, it makes people think that they don't have a clear right of appeal, or if new information comes in about their injury, but they do. And so like you'll get an email, or the people will get an email from the claims administrator saying they have 30 days to appeal. Otherwise, they get kicked out of the program. I'm like, no, there's no, where are you getting that from? This isn't make up rules on the spot, and nobody can answer it. Nobody can answer these questions. I'm like, where are you getting these self-made rules from that self-serve the administrator, that self-serve Health Canada? You cannot make that. That's not how the program works, and that's not how they should be communicating to the public. So wild stuff, man. But the point from all this is that, first of all, this is a lot better than the United States of America, because U.S. I don't know if you know that there's no, the program there is terrible.
I have not heard anything about it. I mean, I'll Google it in real time, but I don't. Yeah, non-existent.
It's crazy. So this is much better than the U.S. program, but much worse than other jurisdictions. Like I always talk about Thailand, which is paid out like indiscriminately now, and some of their jurisdictions they're just paying out because they recognize. But Canada's got a massive institutional conflict of interest in all this stuff, right? The whole system, because we've like in bed Health Canada with big pharma, like they can't indiscriminately hand out the money like other jurisdictions have, because how the whole network of safe and effective and coercion worked. So it's pretty wild in that regard.
What else are you working on?
What else on the advocacy front? I could talk to you about the Canadian Bar Association.
Go on. Is this with respect to you or in general?
I learned, well, it's about a lot of legal aid clinics had vaccine mandates for new incoming staff. So like these legal aid clinics are all across Ontario, the lawyers and paralegals to get a job had to be vaccinated way beyond, up until July 2023 was one of them. Explain that one to me. So
I mean, I can explain it. I can explain it, but I'd sound crazy for explaining it.
So my point of this is you're creating a systemic problems when you only hire people, especially in the legal community, because in the whole diversity thing, you're not hiring a diverse perspective and of people with different medical and religious beliefs. Like it's so I contacted the Canadian Bar Association. I said, hey, folks, let's do a task force here. And let's initiate some investigations here about whether this is the right thing to be doing, given the mandate of the Canadian Bar Association for access to justice and all this stuff. And so I'm a member of the Canadian Bar Association, and members can bring forward motions at the annual general meeting, right? So I'm like, okay, my motion, I want to do a task force, a member-driven task force to investigate all this. But I'm getting pushback. On this. Like it's against, I was told it was against the bylaws. The bylaws don't allow it. Only directors can make task force. I'm like, the members of any organization are the ones that determine who the board of directors are and can amend the bylaw. Like they're the ones that drive the organization. To tell me if I get all the members together to bring forward this task force that I can't do it because the bylaws don't allow it. I'm like, okay, I'll amend the bylaws. Like the members can do everything. So I'm seeing institutionally how all these things are weaving together in a very bizarre fashion, and I'm just kind of tracking it all, but I think it's important to get it out there, right? How all these systems are operating in a very bizarre fashion. It should not be hard to bring a simple motion at an AGM, to start a task force to look at access to justice issues from an organization that's mandate includes looking at access to justice. It's bizarre beyond bizarre.
Dan, I'm pulling it up in real time. This seems to be from November, and it's from a MCT law. I'm just trying to find an answer in real time. Allegedly, only 6 individuals have received compensation for COVID-19 vaccine injuries through the CICP, each getting an average of $2,900 payment.
Is this American?
This is American.
Yeah.
So I'm trying. I haven't been able to find.
Yeah.
Here we go. Reuters. Here we go. Let's see. This is from April, and it says.
Okay, I have my theories about why this is, by the way. But okay.
COVID-19 yields small payouts from the U.S. government. So it looks like the finding is sufficiently accurate. Maybe it's 10 people now.
Here's what I think. My theory is Big Pharma is much more interwebbed with. Oh, Viva, I like this guy. Okay, cool.
He's my brother, just so you know, my actual birth brother. I was going to tell the story about the time we fought over. I don't remember what we were fighting over. Was it a grilled cheese sandwich?
It's a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Yeah, ended with me scratching your face like a
shortage.
Like a child.
There was a shortage of Kraft peanut butter.
I'll find that picture and then I'll
Yeah,
share
they
it
should
with
be a
everybody.
sponsor. Kraft peanut butter, man. That stuff is good.
I don't think we want to accept Kraft as a sponsor, nor would they sponsor us. But okay, look, I think what your theory from the first two sentences sounds like a pretty obvious theory, Dan.
Well, here,
Regulatory capture. It's regulatory capture.
but it's in Canada too. But for some reason, there's less of it here. Like this is what I don't get. But actually, CDC, okay, CDC still was blocking. Are they still blocking people from getting visas up until May 2023? You couldn't get into the U.S.
I think they still have the requirement, Dan.
There's something there.
I'm just hoping that they still recognize a 2-year-old jab as being fully vaccinated. Because that's not going in me ever again. It's not, and the U.S. was the last country that had the vaccine requirement to enter for non-citizens.
Right.
After
Under
Canada. The irony is that I had made the decision to leave Canada because of their disgusting vaccine policies. This was before the U.S. implemented the travel restriction for non-citizens. And then lo and behold, the U.S. under the Biden administration was the last one to have that stupid policy in place.
And right, with Homeland, like it's Homeland Security, it's like some bizarre institutions in the States that are blocking unvaxxed that were up until way beyond any other country in the world. And there's no explanation for that, for a land as free and as democratic as the United States. I mean, except for everyone coming in without permission from the South, like that, they just come in, there's no checking. So something bizarre is going on there. And the only thing I can explain is that the interweaving of big pharma and the legislation there and the CDC is driving.
Have you read RFK Jr.'s The Real Anthony Fauci?
I started getting through that.
Yeah, it's regulatory capture. I mean, when you have the people who work at the, I forget which way it goes, but they work in the government, or they end up at the FDA, they end up at the CDC, they end up at Pfizer, and it's a big incestuous relationship where everybody's greasing everybody's wheel with money and maybe with other more sinister stuff. But yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to break. I know there's some folks on Twitter, very knowledgeable folks that know how the CDC and the FDA work, and they're trying to get in there, and they're like, some outstanding FDA studies involving kids and myocarditis and the vaccine, and they're still like, they haven't updated it yet, or like some really weird stuff. And it's like, why is no one taking it within the U.S. government taking more initiative and force to get information that should have been disclosed under these studies? Like, it's just, I don't know, man.
Dan, have you heard about the most recent case of vaxxed to the max died suddenly in Canada? The journalist.
There was a guy that, you mean
there was a journalist and a partner. I have been meaning to. I haven't deep dive. It's not a deep dive. I have not looked into it sufficiently yet. But it said like there was a journalist and her partner who, within 2 months of each other, November, December, died, and they had previously tweeted things indicating vax to the max, and then people were asking obvious questions.
Here's the reality, okay? I think the experts say that COVID itself is a vascular, like it has an effect on the vascular system, right? So separating all these deaths from COVID versus the vaccine, like how are you going to do that? How are you going to say that these people attribute it to, to the vaccine?
Well, it's the same. It was Shauna Carroll, her daughter, where she died 3 weeks after the second jab, which was 3 weeks after the first. And then they say, well, it was COVID because COVID causes, you can get myocardial reactions. Dr. Drew explained it as well. How do you distinguish likelihood, proximity? Like if someone dies within 2 weeks of COVID, why would that be a COVID death if they also died within 2 weeks of a jab? Like it logically, it doesn't make sense. And that's assuming that, I don't know that there have been any cases of teenagers dying from COVID. I mean, 6 max if they didn't have any underlying conditions.
I mean, this is why I forget, was it Thailand, Japan, Singapore? One of them is like, they're just paying systematically. If there's been a death within 30 days of the vaccine, then they're just paying. That's
called logic. That's called logic. I mean, because I don't know what more of a definitive correlation you can get. And then in the case of Sean Hartman, where you have an expert determine that there's spike protein in, I forget which glands they were. I mean, it's like,
yeah,
wild. That the poor girl did not die from COVID. I mean, it's something.
Anyhow, the point is there's different organizations, different entities that we can use affordably, one of which is the Canadian Bar Association, to go in there and to do these investigations and to work to figure out. It's like, it's the cheapest thing to do because it doesn't require the courts and tons of legal. It just requires getting members to be interested and to take some initiative. But and so CBA, Canadian Bar Association, has 38,000 members across Canada. Okay, and they're all in different positions that can help out here, right? And so the idea is if we can penetrate the cabinets, right, and get these members who are in different positions of power across the country to look into stuff, some of which can be the mandates for legal clinics, but other stuff, like there's no limit to what you can do with some of these organizations, and it's tough to it's a tough sell because people want to put all behind them. People are zoned out; they just want to move on. But man, it's just there's too much unresolved stuff to let it all go, right? There's too much unresolved. I see it on the Twitters about people that still in healthcare, people that still can't get jobs, dude. Healthcare. I mean, okay.
But it's ideological control. It is so that you can determine ideologically, politically who gets the job, and especially when it comes to government institutions, it's a way of coercing ideological capture on your employees so that the system runs according to the ideology of its puppet masters. I mean, it's obvious. I mean, it's the same thing in the military. You can control the ideology by controlling certain practices or rules of admittance.
It's a problem. It's a problem. And how Ontario's doing it in their hospitals, and politically, I think even I don't know if we've done it with newcomers to Canada, with the COVID-19 statuses there. I think they've eased up on it. We should check that out. But yeah, it affects the whole
for immigrants, Canada.
It affects the whole system.
Holy cows!
But some of them, they don't update the website, so they intimidate people. They're like, "Oh, it's not. We don't enforce that. It's not actually current." Look, it's not current. Revise the thing. I just went to a place yesterday, a mall. They still had 6-foot signs, a 6-foot distancing, social distancing.
Yeah, it's nuts. It's nuts. Well, as of December 19, it looks like there are no COVID restrictions for immigrants coming into Canada.
Okay, that's good. But yeah, you see, a lot of people don't realize, like, if it was an emergency, you stop an emergency when the emergency is over. So the 6-foot signs, take those down. We don't.
They want you to still live under a state of perpetual fear, Dan.
The arrows, peel off those arrows.
It's quite clear.
The arrows did their job in the grocery stores. Those were very effective. They saved millions of people. So take the arrows off the aisles now. That's emergency management has to call an end to the emergency at some point and take action, like take off all the signs and stuff. So, but you're right. They leave the stuff on. They leave these things in place. And in the legal clinics, they leave the vaccine mandate on for new employees up until, there's some industries that are still have it. Oh, summer kids in Whitby, for working for the government in Whitby, you have to summer kids need to show vaccine. I'm like, oh graciousness.
No, it's atrocious.
That's it.
Dan, I don't want you to get into trouble because you have to go somewhere, I think, right?
Yeah, thanks for reminder. Okay.
Okay, get out, Dan. I'll see you the day after tomorrow.
Always a pleasure to be on the Viva Frei show.
Yeah, well, we're gonna have a Viva Frei show in person when we go see Mom and Dad over Christmas. When are you gonna be there?
Should be there Tuesday. All things, yeah.
Good. We'll fight over a peanut butter and jelly sandwich again. I think I put my money on you these days. You're looking like ripped and wiry.
No, bro, I gained some weight. I don't know how. I gotta get. We'll try. We'll wrestle it out. Maybe we'll do a
for anybody who's going to get the UFC reference. I'm the Carpenter Clay Guida, and you are Kenny Kenflo Florian, and I put my money on you in a fight.
All right, appreciate that.
Go, Dan. I'll see you later.
Bye. Have a good one.
Bye. All right, everybody. That's my brother giving us the latest updates on Canada. Vaccine Injury Support Program has now paid out $11 million over the life of its program. Questions to look into are the percentage that are for COVID claims, COVID jab claims versus non-COVID jab claims, and the year over year. Because I presume, I'm not going to say I assume because that would make an ass out of you and me, bada bing, bada boom. I presume that number is there's going to be a big bell that's going to go up, not exponentially, but significantly for a short period of time, a few years, and then it's going to level off. But we'll see. That is my brother, Mr. Hat. Holy shit. And by the way, I saw your other comment about when your eyes are looking up, it means you have no idea. That's not at all true. And you go listen to the behavior panel. They actually say looking up and to the left, or is it up and to the left? It's up and to the left, like I just did there, is about accessing memories. So that's at least according to the behavior specialists, what they think. And my recollection is that, or not my recollection, my experience is that that is the case. They have the same lists. I just noticed this today. Damn it. Kenzie Kraken. All right. Oh, I love that. That's a West Highland cow that you got in your avatar, and it's damn beautiful is what it is. All right, so that's the latest update from my bro, my actual bro. And now we're going to go on over to Rumble, because we've now that we've covered all the stuff that gets you in trouble on YouTube, come on over to Rumble, or if you are so inclined, come on over to vivabarneslaw.locals.com. And I'm just going to go, I ran a poll just to see very quickly if anyone's not yet bored. I put out 2 videos breaking down the Colorado judgment. Yesterday's video, I didn't have time to pull up the screen grabs or the relevant portions of the decision so we can all laugh in the face of the absurdity. So I put up a poll. Should I cover it again? And how do I see what we're at here? 76% say yes, and 24% say no. It's a very small poll because I just started running it, but I'm happy with the results, so we're going to do it anyhow. On Rumble, we're going to talk about Claudine Gay. What's her name? Dr. Claudine Gay. Got to see what her doctorate is in, because I'm not sure that it's medicine. And I'm starting to get frustrated with people insisting on being called doctors when they don't have actual MDs, but maybe that's my own hang-up. Claudine Gay, I called it 2 weeks ago. I said by the end of the month, within a month, she's going to resign or be fired. And it's not a question of cancel culture. It's a question of not being able to do the job that she was hired to do. And they're coming hard on the plagiarism now. And I think my prediction is still going to stand. We're going to cover that. We're going to cover the Colorado decision, at least the highlights that I mentioned yesterday in my vlog. If you haven't seen it, it was a short 24-minute unedited talkie vlog. Just so that people don't go overboard in their interpretation of the Colorado judgment. I'm going to talk about McFaul again, the U.S. ambassador, just the propaganda. Like, we are victims of propaganda. They treat us like we don't know. And I believe 90% of us don't understand the degree to which public sentiment is swayed, shaped, and crafted by overt propaganda. And then there's a bunch of other stuff. I forget what it is. Then we're going to go over to vivabarneslaw.locals.com. Let's get the number of viewers under 600. On YouTube, so that we bring them over to Rumble. I'll give the link one more time, and then we're going to do this. Okay, boom shakalaka. And that's my brother, Lion Advocacy, at Lion Advocacy on Twitter. Oh, I didn't get the super chats here. That's a good one to do here. Viva, I know why Canada sucks so much. They don't have good tacos. I think Abbott should send Trudeau some people to fix that. And wait, you're both brothers? Yes, we are. Okay, so that's it. Now we're heading on over to Rumble exclusively, the free speech platform, Rumble and vivabarneslaw.locals.com. But, oh my goodness, before I do that, it's Christmas time, isn't it? And we don't have a sponsor for this show. Hold on, get this out of here. Oh, it's in Scotland. Nice. Yeah, that's where I saw the North Highland cows for the first time, driving through Scotland. Their antlers were like 6 feet wide, the most beautiful animals I've ever seen. And I went up, and they're docile, friendly, and I went up and felt their horns, and the horns were all warm, because you don't appreciate that the base of the horn has blood in it. And so it's warm. It's not like a cold object. It's like it's the body temperature up until a certain point where the blood stops flowing. Before we go, I was just going to say this. It's Christmas, people. You want to get someone something. It might not come for Christmas, and it probably won't, but you can go to our merch store, it's Viva Frei, and get some good merchandise if you want to support the channel and look cool doing it. The tumblers are coming out with all of the great expressions. Hold on, I just texted it over to our merch guy. We're going to have good, distrust, and verify. 3 eternal truths. Populism fixes everything. Politics ruins everything. Fed, and don't feed the feds, and other catchy phrases on tumblers and whatnot. So that's coming, so stay tuned. If you want to go, Viva Frei. You can get all your merch stuff there and Christmas presents for the kids and all that jazz. Okay, ending it on YouTube. See you on Rumble or vivabarneslaw.locals.com in 5, 4... No! One more thing. Zara got me a gift from our community. She got me a phone case with the Serenity Prayer so that I'm never again going to have trouble remembering it. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. It drives me a little crazy because I think it needs a "the" in the courage. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. I was thinking of getting a tattoo of it. This is much easier, and it will not make my father go ballistic. So That's it. We're ending on YouTube now. Boom shakalaka.